everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. This is Vdiffuser. In our last episode, we found out Emma may have been the one responsible for Neil Marshall's death. However, it's probably a trap, because Damon Gant came back to gloat. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run around all on duty. You call me here, I've seen happy people at funerals. Lena's having you run errands again. This is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there is a break in today's trial. Evidence law. Alrighty. We're gonna need this. Chief Prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're gonna need to read this book. Or you're gonna need this book. I'll need to give that a thorough read. Don't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the Chief Prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat? Despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the reason the real trial yet hasn't begun. What else there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now you're telling me you want to do more. You gotta be kidding, pal! You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're gonna expose him. No matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. And with this, it'll be all over. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The Inquiry Committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses. I didn't say that. Everyone's been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call all further witnesses. But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal and glitches through that. Then it's settled. The defense may call forth the next witness. You do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial's as good as over. Alrighty. Bring him on! Damon Gant. The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-time knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear about what he has to say. As luck would have it, he is still in the courtrooms. You would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right, bailiff, escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, state your name and occupation. What's this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name's Damon Gant and I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, righto, what's with the grim face? First, let's clear up the SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered the prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all this. Son, either you're very brave, or you're very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Oh, don't worry. I'm not here to hinder your trial. Yes, you are. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well, the witness may now begin his testimony. SL9 incident. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I saw Lana there. Apparently, he had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Oh yeah, huh? Is that when Joe Dark was arrested, huh? He was lying on the floor unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seemed Dark bumped his head. Everything seems pretty clear-cut. If he has a right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Okay. Nothing to do with the forgery, huh? Oh, really? If you really had nothing to do with the forgery, then how do you explain this? What's that? Oh, it's a handprint? Chief Gant, your explanation, please. I don't know. You tell me, son. Huh? My dear Wright, don't you know the second rule of evidence law? Oh, here we come. Not this again. Rule 2, unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Tell me, how's that rag relevant to this trial? The defense was not prepared. I guess it's too early to use this piece of evidence. Accept my profound apologies, Chief. Would you mind giving the defense another chance? Okay, I'll do it just this once. Only because you asked, Dudgy. You have to do this. Yeah, sorry I didn't nail you. We have to do this with the jar. Don't do that! It's the jar you have to do. You claim you had nothing to do with the forgery, but I'm afraid that's a claim you cannot back up. Explain yourself. Several pieces of evidence were found in your office. Take this jar, for example. That's the blue badger you showed us earlier. It's a piece of this jar was discovered in your safe. Not only that, but the evidence list I presented earlier was found inside your desk. Where? You see, Chief Gant, these articles of evidence uncovered in your office are both concrete proof you played a part in this illegal investigation. Chief Gant, what's the meaning of this? Oh! Here's a defense lawyer who may even rival Worthy. So you admit it then. You were involved in the forgery. Who, me? Or do you mean you? Why would I have anything to do with that? I wasn't even a lawyer back then. Well, you were the one who snuck into my office when you found this evidence. Prosecutors aren't the only ones capable of forging evidence, you know. Hey, he's not wrong, but we're not gonna deal with any of that until the next few games. Defense attorneys can do so too. Isn't that right, Righto? However, Detective Gumshoe was present during the investigation. Worthy, my boy. Not even detectives are exempt from the law. Rest assured, Dick will receive his due punishment. What? If Detective Gumshoe's salary drops any further, he'll end up paying to work. In light of the detective's presence, give us your testimony regarding the pieces of evidence in your office and the relation to the forgery that took there. My. Kids these days no longer how to put two and two together. Evidence of forgery. Let's see, what was it now? A jar fragment and a list? For all I know, you could have planted them in my office. Anyway, you can't prove when those pieces of evidence were discovered. If they were found after Dark was convicted, they're worthless. There's no reason I'd participate in forgery. Rearranging the crime scene wouldn't help me out in any way. Alright, time to keep going. You do understand I'm the chief of police, right? There will be consequences. Ugh, indeed I believe I will press charges. So you won't make the same mistake again. You wouldn't mind if you wait until tomorrow for that, right? Today's, well, you know. Alright, Udgy. Return though. I know. The place, right? They have a lunch date going on. Huh. Alright, one last thing. Oh, really? I somehow doubt that. At the very least, there is one very large benefit you've reaped from all this. Oh, I wasn't aware. What does this benefit? That would, of course, be the position you have, Chief of Police. Oh, the resolution of the SL9 incident secured your promotion to Chief. That in and of itself is sufficient motive. Oh, that's a good one. Do you really think I'm that incompetent? What do you mean? Even without that case, I was already in line to become the next chief. The resolution of SL9 merely sped up the inevitable a little bit. Is it true, Edgeworth? Yes, he was going to be made chief anyway. Get! Careful when pointing that finger, or you might wind up being the one pointed at. So that means there's only one possible motivation for you to commit forgery. If you didn't do it for yourself, then you did it for someone else. Oh, don't be silly, Worthy. You know me better than that. There are only 3 people I look out for. Me, myself, and I. There, it's out in the open now. Oh, gee, would you mind if I changed my testimony a little? By all means, please do. I wouldn't be anyone's accomplice if there was nothing in it for me. Nothing in it for you, huh? Sorry, but the only person I care about is yours truly. Good cripes. That girl, Lana's little sister, was it? If you think I felt sorry for her, you better think again. God. You're right. You don't feel sorry for anyone. Be tough on crime and tough on people. That's how I was raised. You seem to be lax enough on yourself, though. Oh, that's a good one, Worthy. Woo, boy. Could there have been something in it for him? Given his selfishness, would he have helped someone out? Yes. True, you might not help anyone for their sake. But if it would benefit you, you might decide to assist someone. Mr. Wright, it appears you're positively determined to portray the chief as a nice man who likes to lend people a hand. That's not what I mean. Very well then. Who is this person you believe Chief Gant may have helped forge evidence? There's nobody else except Lana Skye. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye? The defendant? I believe it's quite obvious in light of circumstances. Emma Skye fell victim to an unfortunate series of events. Who would want to help her more than her own sister, Lana? And as for Chief Gant, he would have a reason to help Lana if she asked him to. That reason, of course, is self-profit. Self-profit? What do you mean? After SL9 incident was resolved, Lana was promoted to Chief Prosecutor of the Prosecutor's Office. The person who arranged this job change was you, Chief Gant. But how would he profit from all of this? He'd be able to use the Chief Prosecutor as his puppet. Essentially, he would require unchecked authority over all investigations. You mean to tell me that despite the Chief's formidable appearance, he plays with puppets? Oh, wait. You must mean puppet as in someone forced to do his bidding. Never mind. Admit it, Chief. You assisted Lana Skye in forging evidence. Your motive? To appoint her as Chief Prosecutor so you could control her. Righto, my boy. You've quite an imagination. Let me ask you something. What? Do you have any proof of this? That I controlled Lana? For example, is Lana testifying that I've done such a thing? She's keeping quiet to protect Emma. There's no way she'd testify against Gant. I'm afraid without any proof, this all amounts to nothing more than mere conjecture. Unless, that is also what happened in this incident. This incident? Which one would that be? Of course I'm talking about the murder of Detective Bruce Goodman. The chief prosecutor's been acting strange throughout this entire trial. Almost as if someone's been controlling her. Worthy, you'd better watch your tongue. I wouldn't want you to get hurt. Just what do you mean? What he means, Your Honor, is that Chief Gant is involved in the murder of Detective Goodman. Not only that, the chief is now making Lana take the rap to cover up his involvement. What? What? Order! I said order! Mr. Wright, you can't be serious. This is an affront to the highest ranking officer in our law enforcement agency. And he's corrupt as hell. To accuse the chief of blackmail and murder? That's impossible. Your Honor, I was merely reiterating what Mr. Edgeworth said in easier to understand language. It's too late, Mr. Wright. There's no turning back for us now. Can you prove this, Mr. Wright? That the chief, a high-ranking officer of the law, is involved in this murder? We have one last thing. Is he a criminal? I believe the evidence will tell. And it better be good. This is the ID card list. The one that shows who entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. There was one ID on the list we couldn't determine the owner of yesterday. 77777. Sorry, but there's no way you can prove that's my card number. It's your number. How do you know that? The safe in Chief Gant's office requires a code to open. A 7-digit code. 7 digits? You don't mean... I'm afraid so, Your Honor. The code was 77777. The same as the remaining ID number on that list. Chief Gant, you entered the evidence room on the day of the crime, and oh, we finally got him to crack. Gant! What do you have to say? Nothing. The defense's search of my office was in violation of regulations. And I will demand Mr. Wright be punished to the maximum extent of the law. But right now this court demands an explanation of you about the use of this ID card. So you admit it. You entered the evidence room on the day of the crime. What about it? I'm chief of police. Whether it's the evidence room or the bathroom. What's the difference? I can go wherever I want. Respect my authority. Tell me, when you entered the room, were you alone? I always go to the bathroom alone, as I do with the evidence room. Who do you think I am, Lyndon B. Johnson? Detective Goodman wouldn't happen to have been with you that day, would he? Of course not. Why would he be? I hadn't seen him in days. You hadn't seen him in days, Chief Gant? I'm afraid you've just undone yourself. On that day, you had to have met with Detective Goodman. What do you mean? The trial's purpose is to determine Lana Sky's guilt. No, it isn't, Your Honor. This trial's purpose is to determine the truth. If Chief Gant met the victim on the day of the crime, then we need to determine one thing. What transpired during that meeting? In that case, I'm going to have to ask you for evidence. It's the lost item thing. Can only be submitted to the Chief of Police. He lost his ID card on the day of the crime. Or to be more accurate, Jake Marshall stole it. So Detective Goodman filled out a lost item report. He'd have to have given that report to the Chief of Police. Yet you are in possession of that report. Which means you can't be sure if he filed it. He filed it. How do I know, you ask? Because he needed to enter the evidence room that day. He needed to? Yeah, to transfer the evidence out. Oh! Detective Goodman took the form to you, Chief Gant. Then, you accompanied the detective to the evidence room. I accompanied him. There's no other way the murderer and the Detective Goodman could have entered the room. Hold on. Let me guess what you're going to say next. I, the Chief of Police, murdered poor Goodman. Exactly. But wait! The Chief didn't necessarily need to accompany him to the evidence room. He could have just lent him his ID card. Yes. Now that you mention it, I might have... Sorry, but that's not possible. According to the record, your card was used once. Yet you showed us your ID card earlier. If you'd really lent it to Detective Goodman, it would have been found on his body. No! Well, we finally got a breakdown from him. You didn't! The murder was most likely a spur-of-the-moment crime, for no one in their right mind would choose the police department as a place to commit murder. After the murder, you contacted Lana at the prosecutor's office to dispose of Detective Goodman's body, of course. You're forgetting, Mr. Wright, that the victim's body was discovered in the prosecutor's office parking lot. How do you manage to move it there? I was at the police department the entire day, you know. And everyone's aware that Lana stayed at the prosecutor's office after the ceremony. Everyone except me, it seems. Still, you're the Chief of Police. You have an entire police force at your disposal. Oh, so you think I just ordered an officer to do it? Hey you, take this here dead body over to the prosecutor's office. I don't think so. Chief Gant, you left all the evidence we need to prove how you moved the body to the prosecutor's office. And all this time I thought it was a useless clue, just taking up space. How could he have moved the body? Simple. Remember how we were joking about that screwdriver? This is how he moved Detective Goodman's body. What's that? A screwdriver? Well, what does that have to do with this case? Mr. Edgeworth, think back to the day of the crime. What is this screwdriver doing here? It's here because... Ugh! I was asked to go by Chief Gant, no less. He told me he wanted to keep it here in the prosecutor's office. In any case, on the day of the stabbings, I brought this back here. After the ceremony ended that day, I didn't plan to return to the prosecutor's office. But you did. Because Chief Gant asked you to. You mean I... The body was found in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. I think it's obvious what happened. The body was moved by that car. Detective Goodman's body was carried in the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car? Yeah. Unless, of course, you have another explanation, Chief. Why else would you have asked Mr. Edgeworth to transport evidence from a closed case? There's only one plausible explanation. To transport the body to your accomplice, Miss Lana Skye. What's going on here? Is there no room for rebuttal to the defense's outrageous accusations? Think back to the photograph Miss Starr took of the prosecutor's office. This was not a photo of the body being stuffed in the trunk to be taken away. The exact opposite. This is a photo of the body being taken from the trunk. Chief Gant, please say something. I believe your time's up. My time's up? Sorry, Righto. I'm having lunch with the District Attorney General after this. We have to get going if we're to make it in time for the early bird special. But the cross-examination isn't finished yet. Remember what I told you earlier. He's invoking his special privilege. A police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Like the right to refuse to testify. I'm invoking that right. Right now. This is not a right to be casually invoked. There are certain risks to be considered. So you're going to just run away after all this? Run away. Don't make me laugh, Worthy. I stabbed old Goodman. That's what you're saying, right? But if you had any conclusive evidence, you would have presented it by now. Well, You think I had Lana dispose of the body? If so, then show your proof and get it over with. I'll say it again, Mr. Wright. Damon Gant is the current chief of police. This court will not tolerate any accusations against him without concrete proof. Mr. Wright, do you have any concrete proof? No, we don't have any proof yet. It's no use showing evidence I'm not even sure of myself. At present, I have no conclusive evidence. Siaji. In that case, this court is forced to penalize you for your allegations against the chief. Here's a tip. Never gamble when what you can't afford to lose, Righto. It seems that Lady Luck was on my side again. Okay, Edgy, I'll leave the rest to you. I warned you earlier, Mr. Wright. This is an affront to a senior officer in our nation's law enforcement agency. What? Lady Luck, Maybe we should have a word with her. Mr. Edgeworth, what do you mean? There's one lady who knows the real truth behind this. We haven't yet had the honor of hearing her testimony. In the absence of conclusive evidence, the only other method of proof is testimony. Yeah, Chief Gant has invoked his right to refuse, but we can still get Lana. Who else? The defense is the one calling the witnesses today. Lana Skye. She was in the underground parking lot at 5:15 on February 21st. Her task to dispose of the victim's body in accordance with a certain someone's orders. And with that, Hold on! Chief Gant, I thought you were going to eat. Listen good, Lana. I don't think you need me to tell you this, but if you accept Mr. Wright's claims, there will be terrible consequences. Oh, that's witness intimidation. That's right. Your sister will be found guilty for Neil Marshall's murder. Of course, you never support such outrageous claims anyway, right? Just something to think about. Alright then, I've got a lunch date to meet. If there aren't any further objections, we're in recess. And I will cut it right here. See you guys next time.